Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Fintech Ki Baat Dil Se. Today we have with us the industry veteran, Mr. Anand Kumar Bajaj, co-founder and CEO of Paynearby and ex-president and chief innovation officer of Yes Bank. Thank you so much, Mr. Bajaj, for joining us and giving us your valuable time. We're super excited to have you here.
Thank you so much. And it's a great platform. Delighted to be here and talk to the world through your platform.
Thank you so much. So before we start and deep dive into the fintech and the financial inclusion space, I would quickly want to hear from you on what Paynearby is doing. So from what I understand, Paynearby is built with one mission, essentially to make banking accessible to every rural Indian. So want to hear from you on how essentially, let's start with what essentially does Paynearby does a bit more in detail. And then I would like to hear from you on what essentially, inspired you to start Paynearby and step down from your corporate job. Over to you, sir.
Sure. See, the work that Paynearby does is to connect Bharat and India. We are a layer in between to help take the high end of technologies to the bottom of the pyramid. Essentially, it is about taking, to start with, banking services in assisted mode.
Okay.
So, as an extension counter of a bank, there are 1 million plus counters across the country that we serve with.
Wow.
We serve 150 million citizens with the sachetized banking services. People can't go to a bank branch nearby and don't need to now, because we have blended that as part of the grocery. 2 kilo aloo, 1 kilo pyaj, 500 rupees cash dena bhaiya. That is what has happened. A pack of chips, a bottle of Coke, and $2, please, is what we have been able to enable. But we'll talk more as it comes to in capsule. This is what we take. It's a large platform connected to a massive network in the hinterlands of Bharat.
Understood.
A network in 20,000 postal codes of connected entrepreneurs who are tech-savvy, digitally empowered nodes, and they help relay multiple services that we put on the platform. Boom, it goes out into the mass Bharat and is accessible to all.
Superb. So this is essentially enabling banking for the remotest area of India through the grocery network and the merchant network that you have created. Awesome. So this is a really brilliant idea. I would want to understand from you on what actually, taking a step back from Paynearby, what actually inspired you to step down from Yes Bank? So you were the chief innovation officer of Yes Bank, had a very cushy corporate job. So what made you think, यार नहीं यहाँ पे बहुत हो गया, अभी कुछ जाके करते हैं, like let's do something, let's build something. What was that moment? What inspired you?
So it was not a step down; it was a move forward. I am like water. I say that बहुत पत्थर आएंगे बीच में, and you will keep crossing those stones till you reach a dam,
right?
Which actually generates electricity out of you. And at that time, all these stones are submerged. So we moved forward in Rashtrahit mein samarpit, hum log bolte hain. Right. There was a lot of concentration that we were seeing of big techs with a distribution curve which was focusing on 10% of digital savvy value seeking segment. All the Pepes of the world that were focusing at that time and giving discount, cashback, passback to a value-seeking segment. We don't want to call it digital savvy greedy segment, but it's a value-seeking segment where A, B, C, D payments were offered. But the 90% of Bharat was left, the marginalized and subsidized segment was left out. We saw that concentration and we wanted to dilute it and take the high end of technology to the bottom of the pyramid. And hence we said that we will sachetize it, we will digitize it, and we will universalize it. And hence the calling came. We called in few friends from banking and specialization domains. Today, a team of 800 members, all at Paynearby, are serving full time to this mass Bharat. So it was a occasion, a moment of hustling, though we were anyways doing in the bank as well. Right. So it was always an entrepreneurial role in the bank as an innovation head, owning 5 patents. But to be able to hustle in real life and start working with the 800-member team was the real calling.
Understood. No, that's really great. So what was something that really excited you about this idea, making banking accessible to the entire rural India?
So, impact is creating impact is a great motivation, I would say, because when you see the opportunity to serve mass Bharat and get a peaceful sleep,
Right.
it is it's an encouragement in itself. So, to be able to take the solutions beyond self-service segment to the masses was the calling. You would have also seen, you're not too very old, you would have seen while traveling in Mumbai that there were long queues outside bank branches in urban centers.
Yes, yes.
Those were young people, and it was not a month end or a 15th only. Every day there was a queue. And we used to interview them, and we understood that ultimately they are trying to put money in their bank account so their family in the rural can withdraw. And it dawned upon us that why can't this happen at a Kirana store? The Reserve Bank of India permits a banking correspondent program, which is what we were able to configure and take it to the masses. And today we see that only it is tip of the iceberg, even with a million plus retailers, or maybe $1 billion processed a month. This is still tip of the iceberg when it comes to taking the banking, the insurance, the credit, all of it to the masses.
Definitely. I mean, I still remember reading figures like India still has 4% penetration in insurance and 2.5 to 3% penetration in credit cards and all of that. And almost formal credit is basically not at all penetrated after a certain level. Like when you go down to villages and tier 5 areas, formal credit is not at all accessible to them, and they are completely been exploited by money lenders and all of that.
Absolutely.
So I think this is something that is really needed. Once these kind of solutions come in and try to create a formal financial infrastructure in the rural areas, I think a lot of lives can be impacted. I think it's a great thing that Paynearby is doing. So while solving for the Bharat, as we call it, what has been the most difficult obstacle to overcome when you're solving for the rural India?
So in hindsight, I would say that even current and tomorrow, I can assure you, the obstacles are part and parcel of life. When you are an entrepreneur,
definitely,
every day is a tussle, every day is a hustle, every day you have to explain, articulate, seek collaboration, bring people to same page, or them down to the same bottom of the pyramid and demonstrate what can be done.
Right.
I would be belittling all the challenges if I were to call out even one or two, because each of them are in their own right well worthy. And I would say that those challenges have only given us shape. They have only helped us maneuver through the right directions and flow forward. They have not remained as an obstacle. Otherwise, we would not have been here today. These challenges are largely around simplifying services, being able to educate, train our retail partners whom we call digital Pradhans. The Har Dukaan Digital Pradhan campaign in itself is a war cry. But to make the app in 14 languages, be able to train our digital Pradhans and be able to command credibility so that the consumers, the citizens come to the Kirana store and actually seek financial service. Otherwise, why on earth would anyone go for a banking or an insurance or EMI payment solution to a Kirana Dukaan or to an apparel shop or to a medical shop? One would just... So creating an ecosystem, creating an awareness around it was a great amount of challenge, and that's the opportunity that we believe will help us propel Bharat ahead. Leave aside the technology, which I believe is our responsibility, not a challenge, but it's our responsibility to be able to simplify, clarify, and amplify to the mass Bharat, because the segment that we serve, they don't tweet and tag the finance minister to complain about a 700 rupee failed transaction. They just go down and explain, complain, buhar lagate hain wo Allah Ta'ala se, the Lord Almighty. And we are very sensible about it, that the $700 is your cab fare to office in a day. That $700 is his monthly grocery. So to be able to orchestrate the same technology for a very different segment is a challenge in itself. Because from a technology which is serving self-service segment, taking it to the masses in itself is a challenge.
Right,
So
right.
beyond the self-service, if you repurpose it to assisted service,
Mm-hmm.
that's a very, very engaging and entertaining episode in our life, and it continues.
No, definitely, definitely. So when you spoke specifically about creating awareness in the in the rural population that they can now use that kirana stores as a assisted banking or a banking enabler,
Mhm.
how would you have basically? I'm pretty sure there must be a lot of issues that you might have faced in creating trust in the mind of people. बिकॉज उनको आदत है एसबीआई की ब्रांच में जाओ भले ही 10 किलोमीटर दूर है वहां पे जाके करोगे तो बैंक से काम हो रहा है यहाँ पे to trust someone like a retailer with that money, I mean, how did you build that trust in them?
So the need, the scarcity, is the mother of all need, I would say.
Right.
To the fact that you said SBI has done a tremendous job, fabulous job.
Mm-hmm.
Contextually, if you see in 6 lakh villages, there are only 32,000 bank branches which are dedicated to Suru, the semi-urban and rural population.
Right.
The population which is less than 5,000 in these 6 lakh villages. If you consider the 10,000 and lower population, 7.5 lakh villages are there.
Right.
But 32,000 branches, 55,000 ATMs, mostly it is difficult to maintain, manage, keep it up, always feed cash in these ATMs. It's not quite a viable proposition. Definitely. So if I say bank hai par banking nahi, it is not out of context. The segment where while distributing, seeding Aadhaar, a bank account was opened. While in these bank accounts, the government of India has put in Jan Dhan, the DBT subsidy has been put, 1.5 trillion INR remains unwithdrawn.
Wow.
1.5 trillion INR remains unwithdrawn, which is artificial clamping of consumption side, if you see. The demand is artificially curtailed because people do not have access to this money. The banks have opened the accounts. That was the first important step. But now for someone in a village to go to a taluka or to a district headquarters to withdraw money is not what banking is about. It is about taking water to the horse. And that is what we are as extension counters to the banks. We believe that we are not against a bank. Because they have done some work, we are able to serve the next level. We are last mile after what the banks have done. And trust me, the PSU banks have commandeered Bharat into core banking at the base level. They have been able to reach places where we even don't know of, leave aside having gone there. In those places, if the banks have been able to open accounts, we are just orchestrating the Saregama beyond those branches into a Kirana shop and taking banking to where citizens are.
Understood. No, so I definitely understand. I mean, looking at the current scenario, there was definitely a need because, let's say, a couple of years back when I went down to the rural areas of Ahmednagar and Beed district in Maharashtra for a survey, there were around a cluster of 8 to 10 villages that I was surveying over a period of a week. And there was only one bank branch which was almost 20-25 kilometers away. तो अगर किसी को 100 रुपए निकालना है तो वो बंदा बाइक पे बैठ के जाएगा और आएगा. He was almost spending as much on petrol अगर वो 200 रुपए विड्रॉ करने जा रहा है या 300-500 रुपए विड्रॉ करने जा रहा है.
Absolutely. And to your point, 923 million debit cards issued in India, 400 million cards are only active. Because in these areas, there are no ATMs, there are no POS terminals. The chip and pin guidelines of the cards put suddenly 115 million debit cards out of circulation on November 19, 2019.
Right.
So even if people have card, where do they swipe and access? Ultimately, what comes handy is Pratakshamev Pramanam. You are you who you are right now, right here in front of me. That is Aadhaar, the power of Aadhaar.
Exactly.
So beyond card, beyond ATM, if you are able to take it to the Kirana store with a biometric path, this is what Bharat is about.
Definitely. And actually, during the survey, right, as you rightly said, when I was down there, I actually saw this happening. So the acceptance, so there were micro ATMs which were accepting cards for withdrawal, but I think 85 to 90% of people that I actually interviewed, they preferred doing it through their thumb than the card, mainly because they were scared कि मेरा card कोई misuse कर लेगा या चोरी कर लेगा. So they had their card sitting in their locker or in their tijori in their house, and they were happy paying. So there was some places जहाँ पे these Aadhaar Seva Kendras were charging, let's say 10 rupees extra in cash for money withdrawal. I mean, which is not a right practice that these guys do, but they were doing that. And these people are willing to pay that fee for a 100 rupee withdrawal. They would pay 110. I mean, they would pay 10 rupees extra and get that 100 rupees. But they were like, नहीं, हमें ये safe लगता है. कार्ड से हम पिन डालेंगे, कुछ हो गया चोरी, and all of that was a big...
Safe to certainly, and I will also tell you anecdotal though, it's not just lying in the tijori locker. The card probably has been also laminated because they thought it is part of Aadhaar.
Right.
Yeah.
No, so definitely. I mean, so as actually, when I came across this specific situation, right, where people are more comfortable, like in in urban areas, I would see a lot more people using cards and very less people actually comfortable with biometrics being there. Data privacy and all of that concerns come to our mind. But in rural areas, it's a completely different thought process and all of that which it follows, which actually got me thinking about something. That are the current financial products that are being actually sold to the rural India through like whatever channels that we have, they are not specifically tailored to them, right? So do you think is there a need for a specific or a new kind of financial product innovations, maybe more smaller ticket size products or sachet insurances or those kind of things that can actually add more value to these people's lives and be more relatable to these people so that the consumption will actually naturally increase?
Absolutely, and I'm in line with you what you are thinking. The way 91% of Bharat is uninsured, the way you said 78% population does not have access to formal credit.
Right.
The fact that 12 crore bikes out of 16 crore bikes are uninsured. Because kahan milega, kaun dega is not known. The bike was bought on a Dashera. After 12 months, it is not Dashera in India,
Right.
So it's not a birthday to birthday date that someone would tag, remember, and go and buy an insurance. Once out of the showroom, one does not know who sells insurance. So all these services we have worked on sachetizing and then taking it to the masses. We say that most of the services to most of the people at most of the places. The moment you are able to digitize a service and digital first and physical next, digitally you are able to take it to a shop nearby. That is what the digital Pradhan is able to dispense. Microcredit, very easy, because we have seen the texture, the tasir of flow, transactions of our citizens processing requests on our platform. The retailer who stands tall during the 2 years of prolonged lockdown and gives cash in the hands of citizens, that retailer has commanded now almost a credibility equivalent to sovereign for the citizens in their area. Because Sarkar was giving money in the bank account, which was the first important step. The retailer assisted to give that cash in the hands of the citizens. So it was deemed a sovereign responsibility. Okay. To that retailer, if I am able to go and give 50,000 rupee loan, through that retailer, if I am able to dispense 5,000 rupee of loan to a citizen who has been consistently withdrawing 5,000, 10,000 from using Aadhaar at my Kirana store, that is the power of data. Definitely. How you are harnessing that terabytes of data processed through your platform and are being able to serve the customer segment, citizen segment, the retailer segment. 3 rupee of insurance per day is what we offer to our Kirana stores today.
Okay.
3 rupees debited from their wallet. That is as small as that micro you can go.
This is what, shop insurance?
No, this is all-encompassing 3-in-1 insurance, accident, death, medical and life insurance of 2.5 lakh rupee. Wow. That is productized through 3 partners, manufacturers. And Paynearby has an insurance broking license. So we have been able to get a product manufactured with 3 partner combinations. You are right, absolutely. Till the time you come out of that mindset of a FD will be only of 10,000 rupee and look at a segment who can make a recurring deposit of 25 rupee. That chota paisa, choti bachat, bada fayda is the configuration that you are able to take it to the masses. Everything will have to be sachetized. Telecom did the sachetization, FMCG did sachetization, and now is the turn for the financial services.
Definitely. Completely agree with you. I'm very super passionate about financial inclusion and figuring out more and more on how financial service can be basically more effectively distributed. So that was one of the reasons I was doing all these surveys. What I want to understand from you is, let's say in the next 5 years, what products specifically do you see catching up in rural India from a financial services perspective, either from a need basis or from a demand pull basis?
See, I'll take you to a little tangent. Inclusion is just not about financial inclusion. Inclusion is holistic.
Right.
Can you take health inclusion to them? Can you take consumption inclusion to them?
Mm-hmm.
When you watch a Netflix in Mumbai, the same Netflix is accessible to people in deep rural. They have similar aspirations.
Definitely.
Can you help them buy football in a kirana dukan in a village? Can you help them buy frock at a stationery shop in a rural area in village? That is the inclusion. A girl child should not be deprived of her aspirations to buy a book or a frock at a kirana dukan in rural. That is holistic inclusion. And what we have been able to do with the amount of credibility our digital Pradhan partners enjoy, the credibility that we have at Paynearby been able to demonstrate to citizens, it is not only an opportunity, but it is also our responsibility to now be das to the nation. Distribution as a service is what we say.
Wow.
That this platform now attached to this network of micro entrepreneurs, the neural network, we can relay almost any service. You will agree that credit, consumption, content, insurance, all of this could not be delivered physically alone to this masses.
No, definitely.
It needs a digital blend, a digital first mindset rendered, delivered through a physical blend of network. But an important leg here is payment. It's broken. The UPI today, the poster child of India, can become 10x, 20x, 50x. There are certain broken pieces that we are working on. And once that line is mended, you will see that a 10 rupee ka, 10 rupee ka sachetized OTT will be available. We recently just announced about it. We also have been cleared by Reserve Bank on a cross-border remittance sandbox, where beyond the 50,000, 100,000 MTSS cash out outlets, we have opened 1 million plus outlets where citizens can now take a fund transfers from abroad and access to that money digitally. So inclusion is holistic. I would say the aspirations being similar. If you can buy a book from Flipkart, so can a kid buy a book in Khagadia, Bihar. Why not? A pin code which is delivered by Amazon, why shouldn't they be able to buy things in assisted mode? Why should a football be only available in Mumbai, Delhi, or in top 2,400 towns? Why not a guy in a rural, deep rural area be able to access a piano or a mouth organ? Why not?
Definitely.
So it is the myth that rural is poor. People have money and well-earned money. People do want to utilize it, consummate it into right services. Leap beyond consumerism. Insurance will propel. Credit will also help augment businesses in the deep rural. Why should it be the privilege only of the digitized segment? Why only you and I should be on account aggregator platform?
Right.
There is a work happening on assisted account aggregator platform now. With the help of RBI Innovation Hub, BCFI, we all have formed a working committee and we are taking that account aggregator, which is a concept of only self-service segment. We are sachetizing and digitizing it for the masses in an assisted mode. Why should commerce be sold only by the resellers who are digital savvy? Why can't a self-help group be able to sell products that they manufacture? Why Unjha's Idr is not available? Why Jari from somewhere else is not available? Why a Jodhpuri made in some place cannot be sold online? So inclusion, when you bring in digital, it propels all kind of inclusion. It then brings uplift, the Uttishta Bharata moment. Uplift Bharat, uprise Bharat is what is happening then.
No, definitely. I think financial inclusion is probably just a narrow segment of what is in the realm of possibilities. As you rightly said, a holistic inclusion. Also talking about inclusion from a perspective of consumers or consumerism, able to consume the same goods as what the digitized segment is, as well as education from the book's perspective and so on. A couple of things that really, intrigued me. One is when you said that sachetizing OTT platforms, right? I also read about a 10 rupee Netflix sachet that you guys were speaking about in the media. Would be really, I would be curious about it. So if you could throw some bit more light on it and how essentially are you able to deliver that, or are you planning to work on it?
It is as simple that you pay a bill by
Mm-hmm.
giving your mobile number to a telecom, right?
Right.
That's what all the OTT is about.
Mm-hmm.
We already have Shimaru, Z, Ulu being dispensed through our platform.
Okay.
People can come and buy a month subscription. The real idea is that instead of the user-generated content platforms, where all kind of content which is not to delight to many of us,
Right.
we will relate that India, Bharat deserves a better content. And if it is about a monthly affordability of 199 pack or a 99 pack or a 50 rupee pack, why not a one movie for a 10 bucks? And I challenge and I will demonstrate that the servers will crash for all these people. The moment Bharat starts consuming right content for a 10 bucks, a cigarette costs more than 10 bucks, I believe, today.
Definitely.
I don't smoke. Correct me last, whatever it is sold for.
Mm-hmm.
That is what the potential for mass Bharat is. If 10 crore citizens, 100 million users start paying 10 bucks, the OTT platforms will roll to bank laughing all the way. And to the AWS probably for the crash servers and the scalability that they would need, would move everything to cloud again.
Definitely.
That's the potential of mass Bharat and sachets.
Definitely. Considering that Netflix is currently struggling with its finances and the results have been down, I think they should definitely focus on these kind of segments. Not even in Bharat, but I think if I talk from a global perspective, Vietnam as well as Philippines also has a lot of potential for these kind of consumption. And when I'm kind of stuck on OTT platforms. So when you say a 10 rupees kind of a movie will be more frequently sold, why do you think that would be the case, considering the fact that a lot of people in Bharat will still be able to afford a 199 monthly subscription of Netflix that they can view on their mobile? So that versus a single movie kind of a scenario, why do you think the 10 rupee or a sachet version would be more?
Why do you think 2 rupee shampoo sachet is available? Why do you think 5 rupee telecom recharge is available? It was a good pack of 99, 199 per month.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a bottle of shampoo was available for 100, 150 bucks. But there are people who want to experiment. There are people who are first-time users. There are people who do not want to invest even for a month or can't invest for a month. There are people who would do it for a kick, thrill, try, and then apply. And there is a belief that in 199 there is so much of content available, but I don't want that. Why did the set-top box pricing get sachetized further? There were 115 channels from Prasar Bharati Inset to be available for free. Why was a 5 rupee per news channel made available? Because India wants to pay for what they want to consume. Even though you bundle 200,000 more movies and content for a 199, people are price conscious. They want to consume what they want to consume. And on other hand, you and I would have a package for maybe many of these OTT channels. We don't waste our time all throughout on sitting on OTT and do more productive things like podcast and the business, of course. But yes, there is a market for everything. If you look at the intersection of people with smart TV, smartphone, and the capability to pay digitally, there is a very small, narrowed Venn diagram output that you will see. But the moment you allow cash loading for a 10 rupee, 20 rupee, 50 rupee for a smartphone user to watch a content, the market suddenly opens up so much to crash the server.
Right. No, definitely. That's a great insight. I completely agree with you. It seems like India, it definitely, when we started Netflix, we had those free trials and all of that piece, right? So similarly, in this situation, I think it's, as you rightly said, it's more about that Bharat wants to experiment first with these kind of content since it's new to them. They would want to experiment with a couple of movies and all of that with a lower sachet size, and then it could be a gateway into the OTT world for them and basically start with a longer term subscription. Now, moving the conversation slightly from more into the fintech and financial side and more into the entrepreneurship journey side. Let's say a couple of insights on when you actually started building Paynearby and when you got into it. What would be your advice to someone who is at that stage right now and is looking to start building his own company, and he has his idea, he's all set to go, he has the first round of venture commitment, what would be your advice to someone like that from that perspective? कि यार ये चीजें do's and don'ts basically, ये चीजें करनी चाहिए, ये चीजें नहीं करनी चाहिए as an entrepreneur or as a beginner.
It's a very difficult ask actually, to be able to prioritize. And we call it hathi ki poonch. Where do you start?
Right.
And how do you remain focused to a certain trajectory or a particular time period to achieve certain things, track them, and then maybe digress is a loose word, but diversify. So to be able to prioritize the right things will be important. I would say that fundraise is not a priority, should not be a priority. To be able to demonstrate traction should be a priority. To be able to prove a use case should be a priority. And I would call him to share this insight. Porter Irishman, who was the marketing head of Jack Ma, took a session for us earlier. A session was termed mind share versus market share.
Okay.
Mind share versus market share.
Versus market.
Yeah, the workshop was mindset for mind share versus market share. And he said that if you got a lot of money, go for the mind share first. The market share will flow.
Right.
And if you got guts, go for the market share first.
Okay.
Money drive mind share, guts drive market share.
Sure.
I walked up to him in the break and I said, look, I don't have money. I'm starting up and I don't have money to drive mind share. He said, boy, if you are able to drive market share and then apply mind share to it, it will be a multiplier. And I said, look, I don't claim that I have guts, but I only have an option to go for the market share.
Right.
Delighted today, 32% of India's Aadhaar runs on our servers, our switches given out gratis to partner banks.
Wow.
We drive large portion of it directly and a lot of it is fed into our competition gratis. And we are delighted because we have built some awesome tech. We have integrated directly to the sources with NPCI, taking 38 months each into each of the pipes and then propelled the scale that we have been able to scale.
Definitely.
Prioritization would be the core. I would tell the founders, aspiring founders, as a well-wisher.
Understood. Basically, prioritizing what you want to do first and then figuring out whether you would want to ideally go for market share over mind share if you don't have the funds and if you have the guts.
And multiple more prioritizations will come within that. What feature first, what stack first, what market segment first. A lot of things one will have to prioritize.
Right. No, this was really insightful. I think on that note, I think we are also running a bit short on time. It was really great having you today on the podcast, and I'm pretty sure audience will love to hear from you and will have a lot to learn from you as well. Thank you so much for your time. It was a pleasure having you.
Most delighted. Thank you so much. It was time worth investing, and I hope to watch this and also listen to many of your other podcasts. Very meaningful. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.